See, kids, I did play, and they weren't leather helmets. Joe, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for all for being here tonight and for this great honor. I'd like to start off by thanking God, my parents, Tom and Kate Bruder, my family, Malvern Prep, and the Alumni Committee. My family's journey at Malvern Prep started in September of 1950. My father had just graduated from Waldron Academy and was the first Bruder to enroll in Malvern Prep, the same path that all 5 of his boys would take. This would be the start of an almost 8-decade relationship with our family. I arrived on campus 7 years after my oldest brother had graduated. Tom had entered Malvern Prep 2.5 months after I was born. To say I was destined to become a friar was a large understatement. To my parents, thank you for the opportunity to attend Malvern. The experiences and connections I've made here will last a lifetime. The lessons I've learned will guide me through the rest of my life and keep me in check with what is most important in life: God, family, and faith. The word influences. Definition of influence. Influence is the power to have an effect on someone or something. If someone influences someone else, they are changing a person or thing in an indirect but important way. When I was in 5th grade, my parents gave me a painting of a young boy holding a football with about 15 older kids in the distance. The main reason they gave this to me was because of the name of the artist was Arch Unruh. My father had nicknames for each of his children. The nickname he had given me was Archie. Don't ask me why, because I'm really not sure. The reason I mention this is because that painting hung in my room forever and now hangs in my son Augie's room. The reason the picture is special is the one simple word at the bottom: influence. To my siblings, Tom, John, Mary Kate, Tim, and Chris, thank you for being the influence I needed to excel in the athletic fields. The lessons, or borderline abuse, truly shaped the athlete I became. You helped to make it very clear that you better work hard, because no one is going to let you win, including family. Each one of my siblings influenced my career, but probably none as much as my brother John. Besides my parents, John was likely my biggest fan. You see, John taught me how to shoot a lacrosse ball and catch a football. If that ball's in the air, it's yours. I grew up going to Malvern Prep games, football and lacrosse, and watching John play. His influence on me had me wanting to catch touchdowns and score goals. And John, I do apologize for doing it, just a little bit better. To Father Flynn, what an influence. Father Flynn came back to Malvern Prep my 7th grade year. My brother Chris and I had spent a good amount of time with Father Flynn during these years because Chris's best friend, Tim McClatchy, was involved in a serious car accident, and Father Flynn was a constant presence for the family. I didn't understand fully as a 12-year-old 7th grader how important this relationship would become. The influence Father had on me was significant. When I asked my wife, Marisa, to marry me, we called Father Flynn that night to get on his schedule. I couldn't wait to introduce Father to Marisa and vice versa. And as each of my children were born, Jimmy, Kiki, Augie, and Abby, we trusted different people as godparents, but only one to welcome them to the Catholic faith. Father Flynn has just as much influence on me as anyone. So when my father was called home in 2022, there was again only one person we trusted to send him home. Influence, again, Mr. Stewart, who was the only person at Malvern to call me Archie, was also a big influence on me. I had started to excel in sports, but certainly not in the classroom. Stu would often show up, usually around the time when grades were released, and requested that I come to his office or meet him there later. I would make my way over to St. Augustine Hall to chat. Unfortunately, oftentimes there would be an appearance by my father, who might as well have been the Grim Reaper as far as my freedom and independence were concerned. Per my father's rule, a B average was required to play sports. Mr. Stewart, providing more influence for me, convinced my father that maybe the goal should just be to stay off academic probation. Fortunately, with his help, guidance, and lessons learned, I continue to thrive and successfully graduate Malvern. Another influence that must be mentioned are the lifelong friendships created at Malvern. While the list is too long to get to everyone, I'd like to mention the following. Stephen Buno, my first friend and teammate at Malvern. We became the best friends through our 7 years here, played lacrosse, football, and even wrestled together, and PG'd at the Hill School, and then started the University of Delaware together. Brian Zemrowski, Boomer, best friends, best man. My non-Malvern best friend, Paul Evans, started as an opponent of Malvern on every Thanksgiving that we played them. Still to this day, the hardest hit I've ever taken in a game. Thanks, Paul. Godfather to my son, Augie, and best friend. To the teachers, coaches, teammates that had an impact on me, I'd like to just at least mention your names. Father Duffy, Mr. Ryan, Mr. Chinichi, Mr. Ostick, Mr. Vallia, Gant Pellegrini, Joe Sells. Sorry, guys. Bruder, catch the goddamn ball. John Verno, John Rohde, Bill Mills, Millsy, Mr. Legner, Mr. Kenny, Mr. Roper, Mr. Buno, Mr. Toland, Mr. Ferraro, Coach Free, Coach Pinetta. Best buddies, Stephen Buno, Vince Ferraro, Ryan Toland, Josh Coleman, Boomer, Rick Calvin, Kevin Donahue, Mike Delvecchio, Colin Meisenhouter, Ed Field, Ryan Tyrell, Razio Nassis, Ed Bursich, Glenn Davis. Upperclassmen that I always looked up to. Chick Kelly, Kevin Pellegrini, Frank O'Shell, Brian Gallagher, J.C. Koch, Matt O'Brien, George Atterbury, Brian Gallagher, Hunter Jones. Underclassmen, Ryan Poley, Joe Nangle, Derek Downs, Toby Booker, Jeff Spano, Mike Holloway, Ben Davis, Stephen Galzanski. In conclusion, I want to thank you all for being here tonight, bearing with me while I list everyone who means so much to me, and for this unbelievable honor that I always cherish. Thank you, Malvern, for the lessons and the memories, and for making the man I am today.
Great job. We're going to keep this back here, all right?
Okay, thank you.